So let's start. I will talk about component lifecycle methods. It's some kind of talk that we did as workshop internally in the company where I work at Zatu. We have kind of lot of projects. Most of web projects are React based, and we're trying to keep up to date with the latest changes that happen in the framework. And recently there was release 16 and then 16.3. The 16 introduced new stuff, 16.3 introduced new stuff and new deprecation, which will be applied on the version 17. And since our developers are not all of them are big fans of React, or not everyone have a time to actually catch up with all changes, we made something that could engage them and present all of new stuff, and maybe recap with existing one, give some usages, and it kind of helped, at least for us. So this is actually not a talk where I'm speaking and you listening. Sorry about that. I need more engagement and not just the hands, but I will give you tips about lifecycle method, and you will try to guess it. If you guess it, I give you an example of how we use it, or maybe some best practices you can get it for yourself. Most of this thing you actually can read on the React docs, but none of them are covered. Maybe you'll find something new for you. And why this Pokeball is here, I was thinking how to do it more interesting, and my daughter was playing around me, and she is a big fan of Pokemon, so I was thinking how to style it, and then I saw her, so Pokemons, got this idea, and I started explaining to her what is this lifecycle method, how it behaves, because the Pokemon is something similar. You know that this Pokemon exists, something doing, but you don't have a clue how to name it and how it's called. So something like that you have in React, for this from my perspective. And I started explaining to her, and she gave me some names. So we somehow aliased React components method with some Pokemon. And yeah, you will have certified Pokemon master verification where Pokemons are exist. So, and you remember, by the way, about Pokemon, does anyone saw original Pokemon show? Original, I mean this one from the old days, with where there was a show series, and in the middle there was advertisement, which is shadowed Pokemon, and you try to guess it, and after advertisement you got the Pokemon name. So we'll play something like that, but instead of shadowing, I will do a hint. Don't try to guess Pokemon, please.
Pikachu.
Sorry. So, there is a tip, will be there for each slide. It's tip for you which version this lifecycle method was introduced. You can also use Google, don't be shy. I don't know all of them. How many of you know actually how many lifecycle methods exist? Right. Is it more than 5? Is it less than 10?
Yes.
No. Okay, I won't cover all of them. Some of them will be merged in one section, but you can guess any of them. So let's go, and the first one tip is set state is possible in this component. Like half of them are cut, right? No? Any? Try to guess. Okay, this component contains previous state, previous props, and snapshot sometimes. Component view, okay, let's go on. Invokes right after render method. Sorry, bets for side effects, subscription, articles.
Component receive new properties.
No. And this one, invokes right after rendering. Right, it's component did mount.
But you cannot previous props, previous states, what?
Sometimes it's passing to any other, but it could be shared between all of them. And the component will mount. This basically the same stuff, but already deprecated. You won't see it in React 17. So, but it's easy to replace. For example, we have a heavy usage will mount for some reason instead of did mount, and now I'm migrating to did mount, but it's like a replace it, did the same. So, and the usage is as I promised it. And why it's best practice to use it as a side effect, for a side effects or for subscription, because it's happening once per render, and it's best for side effects. You can fetch something in it and use it, and you can subscribe to events in it and use it, if you do it in the components, of course. Let's go for the next one. No one tries to guess Pokemon. Alright. So first hint is better not to use set state inside. Render. Good guessing, it's passing. But it's done. I actually don't remember everything, so I will put all things and then ask. It returns boolean. Okay, you guess it, right, go. Can make your application faster and can make your debug more painful. And invokes before render and can actually reject it. Yeah, you're right, it's component, should component update. I will explain why it's make your application faster. Maybe I don't need to explain why it's make your application faster, because it prevents rendering and you can align your stuff with it and prevent rendering if some conditions are not matching and you don't need to do it. But at the same time, it can make your debug painful. And I catch it myself a lot of times. Why the fuck is this component not updated? Sorry, not updating? And it was because I prevented it in the props or in the state params. So yeah. I'm sorry, you didn't have slides. Just ping me if I don't use another project. And usage, yeah. So basically, it will receive next props. You can check it, and if something is not matched, you return boolean, and you can reject render. This could lead for a pretty nice performance boost for your application, especially in some heavy loops or listings and other stuff. So for low-end devices, we also heavily using it, and it helps. Next one. Oh, I see the expression. Okay, this one often not needed, especially if component is stateless or don't need bind something. Come on, guys. I didn't give you all hints. Okay, this is constructor, you're right, but I still will provide all hints because I cannot switch directly. Invokes before component will even mount it. Often mess it up with side effects if you're doing some subscription there. Or fetching, it could lead to a lot of bugs. However, it would be better to keep it clean. And it defines initial state. And super props should be called inside if you don't want to have undefined props. And yeah, this is constructor. I don't know if it's how to say it. It would be nice to say it's lifecycle method because class has constructor, but since the props appear in there, probably it's lifecycle method, and also documentation of React says it's lifecycle method. So why not? Okay, so constructor, some usages. You can define the state. You can define state with props even, but it's kind of not the best practice to do because you can expect state fulfilled, but it won't be, especially if you're not passing super prop. And you can do bindings there. Who knows why to do it? can do bindings.
Because in React 16 we lost auto binding.
Right, and to not create a lot of functions with an anonymous function. Right?
But we still have half bindings for each class. We
Yeah,
like
true.
5, 6 bindings, and it's still the same sometimes.
Okay, so and better not do fashion also there because better use component format for that one. And another usages is like tip to you, if you don't need to do bindings and you need still define a state, you can just use next syntax of JS and put the state and avoid constructor at all. So if you don't need to do bindings, don't use constructor. That's pretty straightforward. And the thing that make it happen is like call it transform class properties. It's pretty nice sugar on top of it. So you can avoid some
It
stuff.
also can help you with bindings. I mean, you don't have to bind this each time. You just can have property and arrow function
Nice.
for each method, and it
I will
will
try.
be the same like binding.
I will try. Cool, thank you. So next one is
Side up, right? Yeah.
okay. It's science version 16.3, so it should be more easy to find what is that. It's static. I can't pronounce it. Sorry.
Derived properties from derived state from
Get derived properties from what?
derived state from
Yeah, okay, this is it. It's called even if there was no props changes, so it's called all the time. Contains next props, it's static, it's called when you call it. Contains next props and previous stage. It invokes right after constructor. Yeah, it's get derived state from props. Yeah, and component will receive props. It's somehow it should replace it. This is moment that I hate in the upcoming release because I kind of was a little bit heavy use component receiver props, and I understand that it's like a bad code design, but sometimes I just need to check if it was props changed, then I do some stuff, and yeah, and in the end you can end up with the big list of checkings, and it's not good, and also it would prevent you for becoming 16 asynchronous render results, but since get derived stop appeared, React team also review it one more time and even put the big article about this one, when you should use, when you should not use, and they told it don't use it. So right. But I still didn't find much usages for myself, for example, because the context is not there, so you probably need to actually not use. But it will be passed. By the way, React in the last months, I guess, pretty nice updated docs about the component lifecycle. It's changing and make much more sense since then. Because when I was coming to the React, I tried to read it and I didn't get a clue of it. It was really hard for me to see what the component did update and will update are different. So, yeah. I cannot say you much about get derived state from props, but there is a big article and you can dig deeper into it. And the next one, this is not from originals, it's harder. So, but the method is from originals, since early version. So, set state is possible there. Yeah, half down. Contains previous props, previous state, and snapshot sometime. Not call it on necessary. I'm not trying. Not call it on initial render. Won't be invoked if should component update return false. Won't be invoked. invokes after each update. Component did update and component will update. He was right. This is basically something that we can easily replace and be the same. Just move forward. I guess you won't have any issues with that. And just in case, the usage of component did update, it will return you props in the state, and you can do something with it. Specifically, it's very useful if you want to compare previous state with the existing one or current one. This example from the navigation from the list where you can or scroll to channel node or scroll into the view depending from the view that exists. Yeah. Next. No? I don't know. This has. So this one was introduced in React 16, and I really like it because it simplifies our users' experience. It simplifies our life, and user experience goes better. So set state is possible, as like for most of them. It works only with own children. Okay. It catches rendering errors. So what?
Error boundary?
No. Error boundary is a good word, but the component name is called differently. Yes, it's component did cache. Why I call it useful? Because you can use it once for entire your application, if your business allows this, of course. And you can place on any rendering error, for example, if you forgot to pass the props and you don't use a static analysis for that, or something unpredicted happened and your application gone bad in the runtime error. So you can do component did cache, update the internal state of this component, and then return it with the children itself in usual daily basis or in screen error if something goes wrong. And you can wrap entire application to this component and it will serve you and you don't need to do it each time, so pretty helpful. But of course it will point your users to the error page for any occasion with React, which sometimes shouldn't happen. Next one. This is different. No set state inside. You cannot set state inside this component. I just started, come on. Is required. The only component that is required in the lifecycle methods. Won't be invoked if should component update return false. It could return you now, string, number, boolean, React element, or portals, and yes, it's render. And this is the usage of it. Well, it's pretty nice. We actually do this heavily because a lot of stuff could serve you but not require actual DOM updates. Some wrappers that you need to put a loader inside, I don't know. You're fetching something, you can do it renderless. And this is even has a name, and thank you for Kim Wheeler, then it's put it and name it. It's called renderless component. So yeah, moving forward. Next one. Okay. Passed objects to component did update. And this new one.
Snapshot before.
Yes. Yes, it's snapshot before update, but before update you is this one. Invoke it right before render. It contains previous state and previous props. And it's actually passed to other components snapshot if you need it, which is pretty useful. This is something new, get snapshot before update. Introduced it recently. I still didn't have a chance to try it because I mostly do some stuff in Redux and get it from state, but if you can find the usages, please share it. Maybe some static stuff could serve better and you don't need to dispatch and go on this health circle of Redux. So the usage, it returns your previous state and props. You can listen it and return something into it, or yeah, and this basically returns you or something, or in the default case, no. Last one, I guess. I see fans of Pokemon, sorry. So another one which has no state. You won't be happy to set state into it.
Component will amount.
Yes. It's the first try. Invoke it before component is gone, destroy it, and unmount it. And don't forget to clean up subscription and cancel request if you do it in the component will mount and in constructor, but better don't do it in constructor. So whenever you do something, don't forget to unsubscribe it from, as you do it with email list and send that to some closing store. So yes, it's component will mount, and the usages of it is component will mount, which can clear interval from all, or remove listeners, or do some stuff that will avoid memory leaks of your application. Yeah, it was short. Thank you. And before I go out to Lightning Talks section, I have some surprise for you and some leftover.
Sorry? The slides are in this address? What is that?
No, I'm not talking about this one. So this is one is kinda tool for your CLI. Yeah, I will show you. So if I will find my CLI. Okay. Let's see if it works in reverse. So if I will type Pokemon and put random, I hope it works. No.
But test passes, right?
What I did wrong?
Pokemon Dash randomly?
It's something like. Does it exist? Okay. Are they changing my P? For what? Usages, Pokemon. Okay. Let's try one more time.
Maybe it's punished.
Yay! So you can have all your Pokemons inside your CLI and remember me in this talk. So thank you.